Oh, cool.
Welcome back to Grit Gym, guys. We have Otis and Sway here. They are marriedpreneurs, and we're gonna have some questions about them. We're gonna have some questions about them. We have some questions for them. They're gonna tell you a little bit about their story, how they get it all done, and how they are able to, how do I say this? Maintain a healthy relationship, even though they work together. Guys, that has to be extremely difficult from a clarity perspective, and who's expected to do what, and the whole wanting to bite each other's heads off in the relationship versus when you're at work and not being able to leave when you actually do, like when you go home with the same person that you worked with.
Right.
That has to create some challenges, right? Can you tell the Grit Gym Tribe a little bit about your story, how this all came to be, and what you've done to make it all jive in today's world?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead, sweetheart.
Oh, he wants me to go. Okay. Well,
His story is way more interesting than mine is.
No, well, I can give you just a quick background. So we do both own our own individual businesses as well as working together, helping other married entrepreneurs. So my background is really actually in dance. And so I went to college, undergrad at TCU for dance, and minored in business and religion there. And I actually started my second business at the age of 19. At 16, I started one. It was a tutoring company. And then I moved to Texas, and I didn't realize this, but it was, it still is a creative arts staffing company. So that actually paid my tuition through school. And then so I was like, I'm going to keep this job so I can continue to dance and do what I really enjoy doing. So when we got married, I was already well into the whole entrepreneurial journey. I haven't really ever worked a corporate job, but he was really working in corporate. So it was really two different worlds coming together. And that was quite interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. So my sort of, I guess, highlight reel would be, I started off actually in music, and then interestingly enough, ended up working for Mark Cuban at one point. And yeah. And so, and then that sort of ran its course, so to speak. And then I ended up getting into banking. And I know, it's kind of odd how it happened. So I ended up getting into banking. And
so you went real exciting to real boring.
Yeah. And so I did fairly well there. And that was a really awesome time, just in terms of just learning sales process, learning, customer communication, and everything from prospecting to you name it. And then on my third bank that I was recruited to, on my 90th day, probably the best thing that ever happened to me, I got fired.
Yes.
Really?
I was called into the conference room where there were 3 chairs, and I said, something's not right here. And 2 chairs were on one side and 1 was on the other. And so I somehow knew that I was in the single chair. And so it'll be my last day. And they said, we're going to have to ask you to turn in your key fob and all that jazz. And basically, because, Texas being the kind of state that it was, they could fire you on the 90th day without any explanation. And what was so interesting was, prior to that, for 2.5 months, I was getting pats on the back at how well I was doing. I was being fast tracked to go into management. And so I literally thought everything. Yeah. So I kind of have some ideas as to why that ended up happening, but long story short, it never happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to steal how you say that, because I got fired from every job I've ever had. Yeah, it was the same situation as you. Only I know it. Like I'm gonna have to say it like you, so I don't sound like such a jerk, because I know exactly why I got fired.
So
yes, it was.
Yeah, so without going too far into that, it was the best thing that ever happened, and that really started my first, or sort of, the whole story of jumping. I didn't jump; I was literally pushed into.
Oh yeah.
I was kicked off the cliff, so to speak.
And what is it? It's jump off the cliff and figure out how to make a parachute on the way down, or something like that. Yeah, that's what entrepreneurship feels like. Yeah, so you got pushed off, had to figure out how. Man, I need to make a parachute. I'm not gonna do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was the best thing. So that's how I ended up getting into what, the business is now, which is really dealing with profitability and sales.
And then your real estate.
And my real estate as well. So because of the whole banking background, I sort of have
huge asset. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So it's been a journey, to say the least, just with all the different transitions. And I think just with the whole him getting fired from the job, like we knew, like, when you're not supposed to be somewhere, like when your time is up, that season, like that grace is kind of just lifted. And we knew so much, that to the point where that when he went and took that job, because he was scouted for that position from the previous bank he was at, they came and found him the bank president.
He was a state president.
Yeah. So like they really, really like sought after him. And we knew though that he wasn't supposed to be like in the banking, like doing what he was doing very much longer.
I was really comfortable.
He was real comfortable. So he wasn't going to leave anytime soon, even though he should have. Like, I think it was like he already left, and we even recorded it. Like we got his cell phone out one day before he took the offer for that the last job. I said, well, let's get the cell phone. I need to document that you're going to say that you're the last bank you're ever going to work at. So we have it documented, but we didn't know it was going to go down like that. We just thought, okay, well, he'll walk away when we have a plan together, but that
I can quit anytime.
Right. He would have still been today had he not gotten fired. So
well, I mean, you could say it that way. You could be like I quit my job today. I can't believe that they said those things to me. And if anybody asks, you just tell them like what were the things they said? You can say, well, they said you're fired. Like,
that's a good one.
Right.
Love it.
Right. I like that perspective.
It's a blessing. It was for the better. They just did what you were planning to do in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something very hypnotic about the 1st and 15th and the regularity of it,
Yeah.
So did you find was it immediate? You were just like, you know what, blessing in disguise. Let's roll with the next thing, or was it like I got to do some soul searching and figure out what's going to happen?
Well, the funny thing is I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do specifically. But a month prior to that, I was introduced to a guy who needed help with the real estate deal.
Outside of the bank.
This had nothing to do with my job. Yeah, this had nothing to do with my job. And it took about a year of walking through that whole process of helping this client. What was so funny was I think I got fired like May of 2013. And the deal closed in June of 2013. And it was enough for me to pay our mortgage and all our bills for like 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's perfect.
Yeah. So I had at least 3 to 4 months as I was working to figure it out.
Yeah. That was.
And it's really amazing what you can get done in that amount of time when your back's against the wall.
I'm telling you.
How about that?
I'm telling
you. Yeah, I love that's one of my favorite things when people are like, I don't like pressure. I don't want to be pressured into. I don't perform under pressure. It's like, yeah, right. Yeah. Everybody does better with a little bit of pressure. You maybe you're applying it wrong or something, but
totally.
But Sway, what was the different response that you were going to make?
Well, I would say like when he first called me, they did it first thing in the morning, so it was like 8:00. Which they
did it right away.
The axe dropped.
Like, hey, you can go back to bed.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And so I said, okay, but I was, I was already ready for this new life, whenever it was going to happen. So I was like, okay. And he called me just going off, screaming, and just, I can't believe. And I'm like, what? Like, did somebody die? Were you in an accident? Like, he's like, me. I'm like, okay, we're going to be all right.
Insulted.
Like, we're good, And so
was it just like a sigh of relief almost?
Well, for Sway or for Otis?
Well,
right after.
Sounds like she knew right away. Like,
I was just looking forward to that next season. I was just, as an entrepreneur, I was already like, oh, this is our opportunity. Let's do it. Like, this is our
familiar.
What?
That's how we are. Like Rach gets like she's kind of like gets worried about stuff, and I'm like, what do you mean? Let's roll. Let's do this.
Let's do it. Right. That's exactly what I was like. And so, and mind you, this is all I've been doing my whole life. So I'm like, this is nothing. Like, I've been here before, maybe not being fired, but I know how to, get another client. You just got to go out there and do the work. And so he he was going off, you know, initially. He was just heated. And I was like, okay, calm down. We need to think through this process. Okay, they did it 8 o'clock in the morning. How long do we have the health insurance for? That was like what I was just kind of logically thinking through
When
this
does
process.
Cobra kick in?
I was like, when, like, are we still covered right now? Because I don't think it was the beginning or so of the year. So we hadn't done like our physicals and all that stuff. And so I said, why don't you go ahead and anonymously call HR and just say, hey, how does this process work if someone were to get fired? Like, how long are we covered?
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, right. And so they were like, oh, you're covered until 5 o'clock that day. And I was like, bet, let's do it. So I went ahead and made appointments for our the same day, the medical doctor, just to do our physicals, our annuals. We did the dentist that day. We did vision that day.
Oh,
like
doctor.
Anybody I can think about that we were covered, we had the money on the little card. What is the card called?
It was FSA.
The FSA, yeah, the flexible spending account. We had all that. And so I said, we need to spend this money and we're covered. So let's just go ahead and do it.
Lose it.
And so I'm calling these doctors, you know, usually they're like, oh, another 3 months, you know, 2 weeks, but not like the same day. And so, of course, they gave me some pushback. And I'm like, no, I can't. Like, somebody's going to cancel. So we need to just come in and we'll sit and wait. But we need to come and be seen today. And then, you know, they all of them were like, okay, fine. Like, they just wouldn't take no for an answer. And, we were in the doctor's office all day that day, and we got everything done. So we're like, okay, cool. We got everything covered, got the new glasses, got everything checked up on.
Man, I was coughing and looking to the left and reading the 6-line E.
All at the same time.
All in one day.
R.
Getting our teeth clean.
Getting my teeth clean. I mean, literally,
That's funny.
it was running the gamut.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So I love how you come off like when we met you in Boise, you're like this like kind of quiet, kind of like just like reserved, like you're kind of just like feeling it out. And then like behind the scenes, you're like, no, Doc, I need to see you next night. I love that. It's hilarious.
Thank you.
And you're like this big. Well, you're like that big.
Like,
Yeah. Like a force to be reckoned with. Yeah.
Just a little feisty and spicy is all.
That should be on a t-shirt.
So how did you guys blend your businesses together? Since you're both entrepreneurs on your own, but at what point do you decide to blend everything together?
Yeah, no kidding.
And decide to really go for it?
I think it started with the feng shui in our office. Our desks in the office were facing each other. And people used to say, how do you guys do this? And so I'd be listening to her calls or she'd be listening to mine, and somebody had to go out and talk in the driveway. I was the one who had to go out and talk in the driveway while she was in the office talking on her phone. And so we were sort of like in each other's room before the worlds really sort of came together.
Yeah.
And people started asking, how do you guys work? Like, don't you get sick of one another? So,
and we weren't like officially working together. I mean, we were physically in the room together in the office, but we weren't really working together. I was helping him with different opportunities. I'm like, oh, you can do this, or I know a client who can use your skills for this, and we can make a proposal. So we started doing that type of thing. And so the first opportunity we had to work together was because I have the staffing firm, and so our clients are school districts. And so I hire, our company hires artists, creatives, coders, and they go into the schools and they teach the children arts. And so it started off with dance, but then now it's really like full-fledged, like from dance, theater, coding,
visual art,
chess, like everything like in between that a kid can learn. So I was like, what if we propose an entrepreneurship program or like a money management deal for the kids, because they need to know that too.
Awesome.
I love that.
We started together. And so I wasn't, he was, his thing is like the money management part, but then I was more like the entrepreneurial part. And so we just started doing that. Yeah.
Which was interesting because every bank I worked for, we had to do so many volunteer hours, and I was a junior achievement guy. So I was literally going to the schools.
Oh, you're doing it anyway.
Yeah. So it was like not a huge stretch in that way.
Yeah. So that was our first contract, like literal contract together. But then we didn't think much of it. I was just like trying to get more contracts coming in to replace his income. And that went well. But then he started doing his own thing with financial literacy, helping companies and families building their own, just building wealth. And he wrote a book and, just started doing lots of like media and stuff like that. But then he even did his own live event, and I was already doing my own live events. And then it turned out that some of our clients on both sides would come to us individually and say, well, is there a way that we can, like my husband or my wife and I, we can just get like you two together? Can you all like help us together, and versus us having to go to your event and then his event, and we're just like, nah, we don't do that. Like that's not, we don't, like that's not what we're here for, right? And so like, don't try to mess up our vibe. We're just trying to flow and what we know to do. And I was like, I don't know, like that doesn't make, sometimes I think when things are like right in front of you, you don't really realize the value that it offers to other people. And so we weren't really seeing it as something that others wanted or other married couples in business needed. Like we were just like, that's just what we do. We can work together when we need to, or, whatever. But we already had, like, I'm very systematized. And over the years of growing the staffing firm, I had to have systems in place. It didn't start off that way. So I'm very much like, I like to do the whole follow through. If you all have taken Kobe Index C. Mm-hmm. I'm very much like a follow through person. So I like to create systems pretty much out of everything. I create systems. And so I'm pretty much on the productivity side, and he's more the profitability side. So just bringing those two worlds together, it just kind of made sense. So we fought it, like the thought of doing it for a good, I would say, year and a half or so. Yeah. And then people asking, and we're like, you know what?
Plus we have different styles, man.
We do have different styles.
You know what I mean?
I'm like, how does this?
He's a morning person and I'm nocturnal. It's just
okay.
Yeah. We like do things like I need quiet. He likes to have ambient background, like hip hop music playing in the background. I'm like, I'm trying to focus.
She makes it seem like I'm sitting on the computer, like it's like, pants,
like some EDM playing,
coming up with content to boots and pants, So
yeah, so I mean, it's just those little things. We're like, we don't even gel like that. Like we're not the same at all. So we just started. When we said yes to that one couple, the first couple, just did like a mastermind with them, and then they had friends, and then we're like, okay, maybe we should really like make this a bona fide business. Maybe we should set up like a separate account for this. Maybe we should actually start to really take this more seriously, because it's helping.
Especially if they're coming to you. Like if you're not actively trying to sell it and it's working, it's like
yeah. And as that entrepreneurial, I'm like, we could do something with this. This could actually be a thing. Like let's just see what can happen. And so
I can't imagine what that's like, just having somebody like that you don't have to work at the sale.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's super helpful. So now I think we're in a place of just understanding, just clarifying the messaging, making sure that we're becoming more visible with what we're offering, and really thinking about the different types of, marriedpreneurs that we could help. It's just, just really clarifying it right now. But yeah, that's pretty much how it all started.
So you guys have a podcast, is what that's how you're getting is that new, or is it, I've listened to a couple of the episodes, but like, how did you decide to go in that route?
It was, it kind of falls into my wheelhouse a little bit, because the part I didn't mention was I used to be an editor and a DJ. So I,
like you knew what you were talking about.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it was just sort of a easy thing to do. It was low hanging fruit, but it's also a great opportunity to, get the message out more, and enhance the visibility and another leg to the platform. So
yeah. Well, that's why we like doing these so much, because people can get to know us before we're allowed to get to know them. Like anything that I can do to bridge the gap between their couch in their living room to actually being in the gym, like the better. That was our thought for doing this, but everybody's got a little different story on how they got into their podcasting and social media stuff. So, did you guys do a lot of it before you did the podcast, or is this kind of all new frontiers?
Well, we just started the Facebook page, and then we started seeing reactions on that, and we're like, okay, from there, just clarifying the messaging and all that great stuff, and then doing the podcast, and then recently starting a Facebook group to get more, to help more really couples with whatever it is, like, as we do different trainings inside of the group. that's just giving us a better opportunity to see like what the real struggles are. Sometimes people come to us with like the surface things, and we're like, nah, there's some other stuff going on beneath that. So there may be like just a lot of strife or bickering back and forth, and they're saying, well, it's because he did this or because she did that. I'm like, yeah, no.
Like he made me mad. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Well, what's really going on? Like, why are you upset? Why are you like, what's really at the root of that type of thing?
Right.
And then how that feeds into how you work, like, and just even clarifying the different types of marriedpreneurs. There's this spousalpreneur, where it's just one of them in business, and the other one is primarily supporting. The indiepreneur, where they're both having the two different types of businesses, and of course they're married, but they're just in two different worlds, but they're entrepreneurs. And then you have the couplepreneur, where they're actually in a business together. And so those are like three different types of marriedpreneurs, the main three types.
And they have three different challenges.
Obviously. Exactly. And they're probably more than
and
three.
different needs.
So
just on the top level, surface level, you're like, all right, three. But like then you've got all the other, like even past the like the business side, you got all the other relationship stuff that.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Those different dynamics. And so that's really like where we like to get to the root of things, and then just help with just implementing systems. At the end of the day, we're all given the same 24 hours. And so it's really about like, what do we do with those 24 hours? I hear people often saying, man, I just wish we had just one more hour, just one more day in the week, or just, a couple more minutes, for this hour. And it's like, well, what can we do differently? And a lot of times that has to do with the priorities not being prioritized, and understanding like,
ooh, I like that.
You have to say, these are my top three for the day. Like everything can't be number one. Like everything can't be number one.
Which is challenging because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we can feel like everything is an emergency.
Right.
And so how do I distinguish between what is actual emergency versus what is something that somebody wants me to really do right now? Or presenting to me as an emergency. So we have to evaluate those emergencies and say, well, no, this is like cold level red and this is actually cold blue.
Right.
So you guys figure out your priorities together.
Yeah. So we have like like I said, the whole system thing for that. So even each day we'll meet over breakfast for about, 10 minutes or so, really less than that. We'll just quickly go over. Now we have the system just down pat. We'll go over our wins for that day, what we desire to do for that day. And it's usually totally separate. Sometimes they overlap, but usually it's like he has his roles, I have my roles. And then when we come back towards the end of the day, we'll be, just checking on that. So our goal is to get through those three. Of course, we always have more than three things on our list. I 3,000 things on my list.
Just choose three.
Yeah. But that really helps us, number one, just have a sense of accomplishment, and then not like overlapping that personal time as much anyway with the business time, and just really prioritizing the marriage over the business. And it's just a struggle. That's a struggle. But it gets better as you continue to put those boundaries.
That's one of the things, like we've always had, like clarity is always just such a huge thing, right? And like what you're talking about, that like making systems, sitting down, getting clear on what you actually want to do. Like that's always been like what was I thinking about?
Ongoing.
It's always an ongoing, like growing thing. It's so tough to do.
Being clear is
Yes.
But I forget what I was going to ask there. I had something. I don't really know what it was.
I have a question. So it seems like you guys are mentors for a lot of these couples, whether it's one entrepreneur or two or both together. Do you guys have any mentors that you look to and go for further education?
Absolutely.
One of my statements I've always said is that great coaches and trainers have great coaches and trainers. I definitely do that. So the answer is yes, in short.
Yeah, I think it's important to have people who can offer guidance in different areas, so we may not go to the same person for, business coaching than we do for marriage advice.
Sure.
Vice versa. And I think that was one of the other things that we saw was just a huge hole, is that we've done a lot of business training together, and we've done a lot of marriage like events together. We've gone to these events, but we've never been to an event or never had a situation where they show you how to combine the two. You know, it's usually like when you're in a marriage event, like this is all marriage. You know, when you're a business event, this is all business. But like, well, what about like how does that impact my marriage? And then how do we do this thing together? It kind of just makes for a whole new equation. You know, when you're putting the two together. So to answer the question, yes, we do have mentors in the different areas.
You try to. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the impacts of that kind of training, not intentional, but it just sort of happens, is that when you have all business coaching, right, and then you go do another event or get coached in all things marriage, so to speak, then what happens is you internally feel conflicted because you're thinking, well, the business is so important. Look at the investment of time, the investment of money that we've made. Then you feel like, well, the marriage is so important. Look at all the investment and time. And I mean, heck, this is our lives. Right. So you start feeling split, which then what happens, you start this inner negotiating to say, I've got to sacrifice one for the other. And when the other doesn't understand the temporary sacrifice, then that frustration happens and you feel closed in again. And it just starts the cycle all over again.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. That's one of the things I ran at, before Rachel, this is a long time ago, but like every girlfriend that would come along, I know. She actually never gets jealous. She's never once gotten jealous at all. But every girlfriend,
that's probably not true, but
but she sure seems like it.
I really don't care. This is your past. I'm not trying to do
but I would have these these girls would come around, and they'd kind of come into my atmosphere, and then like a couple months in, or maybe like however long in, they'd be like, "Is this how it's going to be forever?" And it's like, "This is my life. Like this is how I live it." And they just like they couldn't understand. It was just like so.
The business side, like the thing with Adam is he has certain goals, and I'm not trying to get in the way of those. If anything, I want to be there to support him and help him flourish in his goals. I kind of get the feeling that these girls were trying to take away from that, and I'm the priority, and I'm like, if he's not succeeding in his goals, he's not happy.
Oh yeah, not at all. But like I come from a long line of workaholics, and like my best friend growing up went through. He called me drunk like a year and a half ago, and he's like, "Well, like, did you hear?" And anyway, he's going through a divorce, and that's exactly what happened. She just the girl didn't realize what she was marrying into a few years down the road. So it's just like what you say. It creates this like, am I choosing the relationship or am I choosing my business? And it sounds like you guys have found a way to not. It doesn't sound like you put on your relationship hat and then you put on your business hat and keep them separate. It sounds like you've like blended them. Is that
found a way to strengthen them? Because
actually, businesses, they do strengthen marriage at the end of the day, and I think a big part of that has to do with us making the decision that the marriage is a priority, like period. But that doesn't mean we have to sacrifice the business. And so that just means that there are things that we're going to have in place. Like we're going to have, do everything in our power to have regular, like weekly date nights. We're going to make sure that we're really talking, having conversations that are non-work related. Like that is challenging. So like, wait a minute, I got it. You want to just, and then especially when we do like
I know exactly what you mean.
Every week we'll do a rest day, and we make sure our goal is, it's a big challenge to not talk about business for 24 hours. And so we will, we'll coach each other, and we'll be like, so guess what? You won't believe that. And then it starts off like something else, and then business will sneak through. I'm like, wait a minute, is that a business comment? Like, and then he'll do the same to me, and we're like, man,
that's a really good idea for an opt-in.
Right.
Oatmeal.
So that's helped a great deal with just having that, understanding, like this is what it is, but we're about to grind, and we're gonna work hard, and we're gonna enjoy each other hard too. We're not gonna put each other on the background.
So you do get clear. Like you do get clear on what you're working at and when. Like, are we in a relationship now? Are we at work now? But like you find a way to have them I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like both of them complement the other sort of thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then go ahead.
Oh, do you guys have kids?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. That's going to be a whole new dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, looking. That's going to be. We'll have to come back on after that.
Yeah.
maybe like a couple years in, like when you actually get a full night's sleep, it sounds like that doesn't happen for a while. But yeah, we don't have kids either. I don't know how we would actually throw them in the mix, but I know that a couple years ago we had a conversation, and I was like, she goes, yes, non-negotiable. I want kids. I'm like, okay, well, okay, deal. And I was like, can you give me 6 years? And she looked at me like I was such an idiot. And she's like, I want to be done in 6 years. I was like, oh shit.
You got a problem.
I know. And then, so the deal was, and I didn't want to, I kind of wanted to just be a surprise. So I was like, well, just give me 2 years. And then sometime between year 2 and year 6, just do it and don't tell me. And she's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, like, I don't want to know. I don't want to just go for it. I don't want to know. So like, that's the deal that we have. That's good. That's good. Good pressure.
Keep us posted.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So when everybody else finds out, I'll find out too. I'll be like, oh, okay.
Oh, can be that.
It's a big commitment, and I think once they happen, you have your business, your kids, and your relationship are the priority. So you gotta start 3 ways after trying to figure out 2 ways. I don't know.
Yeah, you're trying to run a business together, and you're trying to parent together.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to still be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I think I want to add a couple years to our deal.
After that, right?
One of the things that I observed, I've actually lived in it. My mom was a widow, and so when she got married, at the time, she was married to a gentleman who's always had his own business. In fact, my dad and my wife, they really sort of have a lot of the same wiring as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. And I say all that to say that my 2 brothers, who were like 5 and 8 when our parents got married, so I say all that to say he ran his own video production company. So it was like we were always on shoots. It was always something. But we were always on shoots, including my little brother. So we came up, I mean, as at the point that they were strong enough to wrap cable, they were starting to grip for cameramen. And then, and so I was thrown behind a camera. And so, media and post-production sort of became my thing. My point is, entrepreneurship really puts a demand on the entire family, but it also gives the family the time to really work as a family even. Now, of course, we can make comments about nepotism and things like that, but the point of the matter is that there were skill sets that I learned. There's a type of enhancement that comes when the whole family is working for the business, and everybody has buy-in at that point because they realize this is how we.
Right.
Yeah. And
like the modern day farm.
Right. Yeah. And really, I mean, the school system, the way we have now, like we tend to think that it's an experiment to have your kids go to work with you, but the school system is the experiment. It's not people, kids went to school or went to learn from watching their parents work, and that's how they learned to do the thing. Not the other, not the way that we do it now. The schools, we tend to think the opposite. It's the other way around. So you got a first like a great education there. That's
getting hands-on training.
It's way more important than any college education you probably could have had. In my opinion, I guess that doesn't really mean too much. But.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah, and I grew up on a farm, and you were just expected I mean, the first time I drove a truck, I was like 8 years old. And no one ever showed me. My dad just threw the keys at me and said, "Drive home." Like you were out working with cows and doing stuff. Like it was just, what's that?
I just said, try not to die, right? Try not to die, right?
Yeah, that's basically what it was. I couldn't sit on the seat. I wasn't tall enough to remember it really well. Like I had to stand up, and to drive, I had to stand up and kind of look over the steering wheel and hold on to it while I stuck out one foot to push the accelerator because I was too little. So I was doing like a half squat the whole way home.
But that's the great thing about it, though. Like in those certain instances where you were working with your family, and you were working with your dad, you were not given the choice to, like, you were given an expectation to just do it.
Yeah.
And it kind of forced you to figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
And then as a family, you have like a purpose together.
Yeah. And you took on heavy responsibility. Like, it sounds like you took on a heavy responsibility early in your life. Like, that's a really good thing.
Many kids get that these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? My brother, the one who started off as a rep and then he got into directing, he actually ended up becoming one of the producers on Iron Chef on the Food Network.
Oh, really?
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Just to show you what happened when he was 5 all the way up to now he's almost 30.
Yeah.
You got a little taste of it and you liked it.
Yeah. No kidding. That's so cool.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, what other questions did you have for them?
I guess we're getting close to time, but like, where do you guys see yourself in 5 years? Like, do you plan out what you're going to be doing, and are you going to be taking your message to more people, hopefully?
Absolutely. Absolutely. A 5-year, as somewhat foggy as it may seem right now. I would just imagine, that there would have been thousands and thousands of marriages that we would have been able to sort of share our experience with, share our best practices with, and really see the payoff of those. I say payoff in the sense of the impact of longer, healthier, stronger marriages, and at the same time profitable businesses where people don't feel like they have to sacrifice one to scale the other.
Yeah,
that's true. There's a need for it, for sure, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah. Which is, it's super sad to see, like, somebody that they have this thing that's really important to them in their business, and they have this other thing that's extremely important to them and their significant other, and they get ripped apart by something that should catapult both of them. Like, yeah. Well, we're running up on time. Where can everybody follow you guys?
Sure. On Instagram, Marriedpreneur Life, and on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook.
Yeah, I believe that's Marriedpreneur Life as well. And we do have a Facebook group for married entrepreneurs where we're offering training throughout the week, and encouragement, insight, systems, and strategies. And that's Marriage Plus Entrepreneur.
What's that? Say again.
Marriage Plus Entrepreneur.
Okay, cool. And is that a free group? Anybody can join into that, or is that oh, nice. And you guys put that all together that's awesome.
The podcast.
Yes.
Oh yeah, what's the name of the podcast?
Yeah, I listened to it. It's great. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks so much. On iTunes.
All of them.
So I'm just kidding.
We gotta branch out. We're only on Facebook right now. We gotta branch out a little bit. I guess YouTube too.
What about YouTube, or what about Instagram?
Kinda.
Yeah.
But we're running out. Like I said, like, we never finish these things right on time. But is there anything else that you guys want to leave the Grit Gym tribe with, or like things that you portion of your business that you'd like to tell them about?
Absolutely.
Like, I definitely think everybody would benefit from it.
Yeah, we do have a free checklist that we've created for married entrepreneurs just to help. We like to call it syncing marriage and business. And so that syncing checklist, it's a 5-step checklist. So it's called the 5pillarprocess.com is where they can find it. And 5, the number 5.
That's the number 5.
Yeah, the number 5 pillarprocess.com. And it's just a checklist to help walk you along the steps of syncing marriage and business together.
Cool. Well, all the good gym people that are watching, definitely head on over there to grab that. You guys are. Rachel's gonna write that down. She's gonna head over right after this, I'm sure. But thanks, guys, for doing this, taking the time and being on here with us. We really appreciate it. This is the first time we've ever done one of these, and you guys made it easy.
Oh,
Awesome.
well, thank you so much for having us.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll have to do it again sometime. Oh, what's that?
I was saying, even our talking is insane.
just made it work. Right. Yeah, like Frozen. Yeah, finish each other's sentences. All right, thanks, guys. We're gonna sign off, but guys, go ahead and go follow Otis and Sway over on their at Marriedpreneur Life, and definitely get into their Facebook group. And what is it? It's 5 Pillar. What did you say it was?
5pillarprocess.com.
5pillarprocess.com. All right, thanks, guys, for being on. Really appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.